This guy is worth $1.1 billion. He didn't launch a game-changing company, he's not a prince, and he didn't receive a small loan of millions of dollars from his father. He's Jerry Seinfeld, a TV sitcom actor, and he's part of a long list of sitcom actors who are some of the wealthiest people in the world, beyond even their movie star colleagues. So, how do they do it? Join us as we dive in to the secrets of sitcom wealth. People have always assumed that the movie industry's biggest stars earn much more than their TV acting counterparts. Maybe it's because of the additional glamour of the red carpet, the prestige of the Oscars, or the astronomical budget spent on Hollywood movies. Or maybe it's the fact that making the jump from television to movies is the dream for most actors. And while it's certainly true that on average, movie actors make much more than their television counterparts, the biggest stars of television, and especially sitcoms, break the mold entirely. Don't believe us? Jerry Seinfeld is worth twice as much as movie icons like Arnold Schwarzenegger and George Clooney, who are reported to be worth around $500 million each. What's even crazier is these ultra-wealthy TV stars are making most of their money passively, accumulating wealth, all while doing whatever it is ultra-wealthy sitcom actors do when they're at home. So, how do they do it? Well, some of it is in the paycheck. Once a show reaches a certain level of popularity, in order to keep the long-running format in business, actors have strong negotiating power. This means television salaries can become some of the most lucrative in the business. And while a per-episode fee may not compare one-on-one to a per-movie salary, when you add all the episodes together, the totals start to get crazy. Charlie Sheen, for instance, made a jaw-dropping $1.8 million per episode for his role as Charlie Harper in 2.5 Men during the peak of his career. The household name cast of Friends, which included Jennifer Aniston, Courtney Cox, Lisa Kudrow, David Schwimmer, Matt LeBlanc, and the late Matthew Perry, each received $1 million per episode during the final 2 seasons of the hit show. Jim Parsons, best known for his role as Sheldon Cooper in the 12-season sitcom The Big Bang Theory, went from earning a modest $60,000 when the first episode aired to over $1 million an episode from season 8 onwards. The list of TV actors who passed the $1 million per episode mark is long and full of household names from shows like Game of Thrones and How I Met Your Mother. But Sarah Jessica Parker, best known for her starring role in Sex and the City, stands apart, earning a staggering $3.2 million per episode, the highest at the time, by season 4 of the hit show. The trend here is pretty clear. Unlike in a movie, where the majority of earnings come from a huge one-off salary, key actors in long-running TV shows typically negotiate more overall money across the course of a show's run. But a quick look at the numbers will tell you that even with significant per-episode earnings, this isn't enough for TV stars to outpace their blockbuster counterparts. For context, a Hollywood movie star makes between $10 to $20 million per movie on average. Leonardo DiCaprio made $10 million for his role as Jordan Belfort in The Wolf of Wall Street. Robert Downey Jr.'s upfront salary for Avengers Endgame was $20 million, and so on. Even if we only consider Downey Jr.'s 9 Marvel Cinematic Universe films, for which he made an average of $14 million per movie, that's $126 million, which even a Jim Parsons or Charlie Sheen can't keep up with on salary alone. But it's not just the huge per-episode salaries that have placed sitcom actors amongst the richest in the industry. The real secret weapon of their wealth is something called residuals. By definition, a residual is a payment an actor receives when a show they starred in reruns, is distributed as DVD copies, rented digitally, streamed online, or is sold to what's called syndication. For further context, syndication is where a show's producers sell the airing rights to multiple TV stations at once. When a show generates revenue in any of these ways, the actors receive a small part of the earnings as residual checks. Residuals are to actors as royalties are to musical artists. Now, not all actors on a given show are eligible to receive residuals. Only principal actors negotiate residuals in their contracts, while other actors don't get a piece of the pie. The threshold for residual qualification is usually the same as the threshold for syndication itself, around 100 episodes. For example, although Friends is one of the most syndicated sitcoms of all time, only the 5 main cast members receive residuals from a deal that pays each of them 2% of the show's syndication income. This comes to around $20 million each every year. Now, calculating residuals is generally complicated, which is why production companies typically leave the determination and distribution of residuals to the actors' unions like SAG-AFTRA, the Directors Guild of America, and the Writers Guild of America. That said, how much an actor receives as residuals depends on some key factors, including the type of production. For example, a TV network production may have a different framework from a streaming service production. The rerun or reuse platform. The network or platform in which the show reruns will also determine the scope of residual payments. Then there's, of course, the terms of the contract. Usually, the provision to receive residuals is negotiated with the production company when the actor signs the filming contract. High-profile actors are able to negotiate bigger percentages than lesser-known actors, and principal actors often renegotiate these terms as a show rises in success. These residuals are paid periodically, depending on where and when the show is released. For example, primetime and non-primetime network release residual payments are triggered 30 days after airing. But for syndication payments, actors have to wait 4 months after the air date. For the old-school basic cable television reruns, residuals are paid quarterly as producers receive the revenue generated. Now, while residuals can run for years, some even without expiration, the percentages do generally progressively decline with each rerun. However, this isn't to say that residuals are modest. For example, even though Seinfeld aired its last episode on NBC in May 1998, Jerry Seinfeld still receives $40 to $60 million a year from residuals more than 2 decades later. As the creator, namesake, and principal actor, Jerry negotiated 7.5% of the show's back-end rights from the get-go. In one of the earliest syndication deals, which was about $1.7 billion, Jerry reportedly received $255 million straight up. Today, Bloomberg estimates that around $465 million of Seinfeld's billionaire wealth came from syndication deals of the 90s classic sitcom alone. That's the equivalent of Arnold Schwarzenegger's entire career earnings just from syndication payments alone. Now, residuals aren't a concept that's confined to just sitcoms. A lot of other TV productions have and continue to pay out residuals. Edie Falco, for instance, who played the famous Carmela Soprano on HBO's super hit drama series The Sopranos, still makes an estimated $26 million a year in residuals. The best part about residual payments is that an actor doesn't automatically lose them when their contract with the show is terminated. For instance, even though Charlie Sheen was fired from 2.5 Men after season 8, he has since received over $100 million in residual payments. That is until he sold his rights for $27 million in 2016. What really makes residual checks so special is that they're an ongoing compensation that often pays actors more than decent money, sometimes for the rest of their lives and even beyond. But residuals didn't always exist. Before the 1960s, actors didn't get to share in the winnings, with the only exception being Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz from the 1950 hit sitcom I Love Lucy, because the then it couple were also the show's producers. But in 1960, after actors and their unions went on a strike, producers were forced to agree on a proper framework for paying residuals. In reality, however, it took some time for residuals to really kick in, and the principal actors from a lot of successful shows from that decade, including Star Trek the original series, The Munsters, and Gilligan's Island, didn't get paid any residuals at all. In the case of Gilligan's Island, the producers reportedly made $90 million from reruns, but the actors didn't see a penny. But in modern television, many actors do live long and prosper on their residual payments and other profit-sharing deals. But not every actor is as lucky as some of the names you've shared today. For example, Universal Studio Group licensed 8 seasons of the hit drama series Suits to Netflix in an undisclosed deal that's estimated to be between $25 to $50 million. Principal actors like Gabriel Macht would receive 3.6%. But even if we go to the highest figure, which is $50 million, a principal actor would earn about $14,000 per episode from the deal. Frankly, that's not much, unless you're comparing it to the $27 Kimiko Glenn received as streaming residuals from Orange is the New Black. Even so, the biggest household name sitcom and TV actors are rolling in cash in a way that very few movie stars do. And it's the success of this secret wealth-generating system since the 1960s that has inspired many a movie star to start restructuring their contracts for profit sharing too. Remember Robert Downey Jr.'s Marvel salary that we talked about earlier? Well, that was upfront salary. RDJ, as well as other principal actors like Scarlett Johansson and Chris Evans, treated the MCU like a television program and negotiated significant profit-sharing schemes. Downey is reported to have made $385.5 million total from his time as Tony Stark so far, with the overwhelming majority of that coming from profit-sharing residual payments. So there you have it, the real secret behind sitcom actors' mega wealth. If you enjoyed the video, please like it. It really helps out small channels like ours. And don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into the world of wealth and investment here on Economic View.